I'm excited to introduce some great speakers from Ad Age, Flywheel, Rovio, and Dentsu. Give them a round of applause.
Hello, thank you very much. I'm obviously not Brian Bonilla from Ad Age, so I'm just making a second appearance. But yeah, I'm very glad to be here today and to be chairing this panel with some of these fabulous talents to talk about Angry Birds 3. So before we kick off, would you just be able to quickly give us a little introduction to yourselves and a bit about your relationship to Angry Birds and the movie? Do you want to?
Sure.
Cool.
Thank you, Kathy. So my name is Geneva Wasserman. I'm EVP IP Development and Strategy for Dentsu Entertainment. And I'm an executive producer of Angry Birds 3 and across the Dentsu Entertainment team.
I'm Dan Chuba. I'm the producer of the Angry Birds movies and founder of Flywheel.
Hi, I'm Hanna. I'm VP of Transmedia at Rovio Entertainment. I come from Finland. That's the happiest country, the 7th time in a row. And, of course, representing a brand called Angry Birds. So, that's the Finnish legacy.
Fantastic, thank you. Well, I know there's lots of Angry Birds collateral around and videos. I hope you are all familiar with it. But we have a little sizzle just to remind you of the phenomenon that is Angry Birds.
Super exciting.
Woo! Fantastic. So just to kick us off, you have probably heard already today a lot of people talking about Transmedia IP. So I thought before we kind of get started, it would just be quite useful, Hanna, talking from a Rovio perspective, could you just give us like a sort of brief definition of what we mean when we talk about Transmedia IP?
Yes, definitely. So you could talk about transmedia storytelling when you have an IP or a brand and you want to adapt that across the storytelling across the multiple platforms and formats. And at Rovio's strategy, and actually we're part of Sega, a Japanese parent company, we both share the same strategy. We are building our Angry Birds IP from the mobile gaming perspective into multiple other platforms, and our parent company Sega obviously doing the same with Sonic in terms of gaming and IP. So we really want to make sure we can offer like 360 experiences to our partners and our consumers, because we can cater pretty much all ages, from 35 plus gamers all the way to families with kids who are watching the feature films and animations. We really like to look at like starting from the broad audiences with the feature films and reaching out. Actually, our brand awareness is globally 96% still.
Yep.
And then we can drill down into like all the way down to the core fans who are really excited about some niche comics or cool gaming collaborations. So we try to kind of bring the storytelling from one point to another to make the bridges for people to, the consumers to decide, how do I want to hop on? And then to create the word of mouth as well. So it's not a short
No, that's great. That's
short
perfect.
story. But we've been there for 15 years, so there's already a generation who grew up with Angry Birds, which I think is fantastic, and we can see that in our passionate fandom. And just remember, gaming is currently the Gen Z and the young generation's first point of entertainment media. So they first are gamers and then anything else in terms of entertainment.
Yeah, Fantastic. And I suppose, talking of gaming IP, and obviously this is a big gaming IP, but Dan, from your perspective as a producer, what is it about these kind of big transmedia IPs, these gaming IPs, that is so interesting to Hollywood right now? As we keep seeing it with Minecraft and Mario, like what is it that makes it so appealing?
I think, well, from a platform point of view, they need to grow. They need to teach kids whose attention spans are relatively small how to enjoy movies. So you have to go where the audience is. So, and as Hannah said, the next audience of moviegoers, gaming is a way of life. And a statistic that I like to talk about is, in the last 24 hours, 20% of all 5 to 8-year-olds in the world have played a video game.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, that's it. It's
Love
good.
it.
Good for Angry Birds. So, so I think that they're appealing because we're going where the audience is,
Yeah.
and they'll turn out. We saw it with Minecraft. They'll turn out. The second reason is that Hollywood's starting to get it right, and by that I mean we're putting emphasis on the core themes and values of the games themselves rather than trying to reinvent the IP. So, in the case of Angry Birds 3, we work very closely with Hanna and her team, Ben Matz, and Toru at Sega, and they give us these great insights about, because they know their audience better than we can. And then we add, we expand the world. We think of it as like we're building a new branch to a pre-existing tree. It doesn't stand alone outside of the ecosystem of the game or what Rovio's 5-year plan is for what they want to do with the game. It's a new way to explore that. And the kids will come for this. They do. I mean, it's a proven fact. So I think those are the two main reasons.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, that is the challenge. I suppose you're taking something that exists in one world and then you're trying to expand it out and make it into something bigger and more entertainment-led. So, I mean, Geneva, obviously this is something that you're doing day to day, building out these brand stories. So how do you take like a brand or an IP and then turn that into effectively an entertainment story?
Well, I think, we think about it in terms of, navigating. I love that Dan was talking about starting from fandom and building into narratives in omnichannel. So as marketers, we talk about omnichannel all the time. And as producers, we think about, we're taking characters that are beloved, where there's already an existing fan base. And in Angry Birds' case, as Hannah said, 96% awareness. It's an incredibly, impactful and well-known brand, and then bringing that story into, organically and authentically into different mediums, right, and into different worlds and different spaces. And we've seen this, so beautifully, right? Brands have been able to tell their brand story in entertainment, and then from there, flywheel it into other areas. So Lego Movie is a masterclass in branded entertainment. Other animated films that we've seen, obviously starting with Angry Birds, but Super Mario has a sequel coming out. It smashed all expectations. The Sonic movies, also part of Sega, are now crossing $1 billion just at box office, and they live beyond the film. So you've got gaming into film, into television, short form, digital, ways to ignite the fandoms. We've also seen live action as well. I think I was excited to see last year Nike was represented in the movie Air. Tetris told their story in a international spy thriller, and of course Barbie. Right? We couldn't talk about this without talking about Barbie. And so we're seeing an incredible amount of narrative storytelling in different ways and different mediums, and that to me, transmedia, we can think about it as marketers, is omni-channel communication.
Fantastic, thank you. I did want to have a little bit of a provocation, because I'm sure lots of people looking at this and thinking about Angry Birds as an opportunity would maybe think that because it's an animation, that it is something that is really only for kids. So I don't know, Dan, is that something you can talk to? Is this just a kid's opportunity?
It's not.
Oh, really?
So, surprise. So the last two Angry Birds movies, the audience was 50-50, 25 plus, 25 under. It's about 50-50 male to female, skews a little more female. And I think that's because a lot of moms. And another important distinction about animated movies, given that breakdown, is that because moms are the choosers of what movies to go see most of the time, they're also the people who make the decisions about 80% of the household purchases.
Yeah.
So these movies are, another statistic, by the way, is 529 theatrical movies were released in 2024. 8 movies drove 30% of the box office, the 8 animated movies.
Wow.
Okay, I would like to repeat that.
Okay, go on.
8 out of 525 movies were animated, and those 8 led 30% of the global box office. So that's something to think about. And also, I think when you look at fandom, and you look at Minecraft, which beat all expectations, 56% of the audience were adults, right, over the age of 18. So I think that we can now confirm that animation is not for kids.
And those passionate fans, I mean, they were not kids. The ones that are chucking the popcorn around and ripping up the seats, they're not kids. Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's brilliant. So obviously, we're all sitting here thinking about this from a brand marketing perspective and how we can kind of, as brands and as marketeers, how we can grab some of this halo effect that comes from IP like Angry Birds and bring it into our own brands and our own communications. So again, to Hanna, so you've been doing this for a long time, what kind of advice would you have to brands in terms of how they get involved in a property like Angry Birds or Angry Birds 3?
I mean, I can give examples from the past, what we've done. It's pretty interesting. So we try to always offer our partners a holistic experience, and that's our unique selling point. We can really be on the games with the brand, with movies, series, socials, location-based entertainment, merch, everything. So we try to always do the whole 360. And actually, in terms of movies, on top of the movie marketing campaign, the licensing and the promotional part is really bringing usually the biggest halo impact on top of the film marketing. So we worked on movie 1 and 2 with partners like Kinder, McDonald's, Burger King, H&M, Mondelez. But then outside of movie marketing, we partner with all types of brands that fit many audiences, and it's quite creative. So we have our games ported to Mercedes-Benz cars. So you can play in your Mercedes Angry Birds. Actually, one of our great partnerships, it's with Topgolf. We bring the physical and digital activity into the same experience. And you don't have to know how to play golf, but you can enjoy that with your friends and have a couple of drinks and play the game and the sports at the same time. We partnered up with the Geico insurance company. You know, you wouldn't think about that in the first place, but they did a really great job utilizing our movie assets in their ad storytelling. And that campaign we could show, I mean, our phones would start ringing the minute the campaign hit the shelves. And China, we work with the Merchants Bank there on bank cards. And we've, in the past, worked with music, sports, NFL, NBA, soccer. We work with Star Wars, NASA. I don't know, I mean, with this
Everyone.
IP, you can imagine, use your imagination, get a variety of suggestions on the table. And for Gen Zs and the younger audiences, you really have to build an experience. They have to feel, they can really feel the belonging with the brand and they can follow it and not just a slap the IP on top of an ad, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, having those immersive experiences and opportunities. And you would think as well for brands and partners around the movie, that's a really fun space to play in. You can create those kind of online worlds and experiences or actually make it something physical that people can really get involved in. It's really, really nice. So obviously that's the positives. But just thinking, is there anything, obviously you guys have all been doing this for a very long time. Is there anything in terms of working with putting sort of brands and big IPs like Angry Birds together? Are there any sort of watch outs for anyone who's thinking about doing this, things that you would have liked to have known about maybe before you started?
Me?
Yeah?
Yeah, sure, I'll take that one. So, there are a couple of things. I think Hanna hit on it when she talked about not just slapping a logo, on entertainment or trying to affiliate in an inorganic way, right, with IP. So IP, that has fandoms as strong as, for example, Angry Birds, they are looking for that organic connection. And I think the best way a brand can, activate with an IP is to get involved early in the process, right? As early as possible, so that you have a real seat at the table and you own that seat. And be involved, right, in it, so that, because audiences, particularly younger audiences, they see through, right? Does this feel natural? And we've seen examples of films that have, brands involved. We've even seen brand stories told without the brand, and that can be a disaster.
Yeah.
I thought about saying one of the films, but you can probably imagine what I'm talking about, and if not, come see me later. I'm happy to dish on that, but. We were not involved.
Obviously.
When we're involved, there's a focus on being early, consistent with messaging, and making sure that your message and your mission is clear in the storytelling. And whether that's as a promotional partner, as Hanna was talking about, or even getting involved early in an original, film or a sequel. Connecting to IP in a way that really serves a purpose. The Geico commercial that Hanna mentioned was so brilliant because it's really talking about, to be prepared with insurance. You never know if Angry Birds are going to come crashing through your window. So it's, the year of fun, as Kathy said on her earlier panel. It's a year of joy and fun and humor. And so connecting to storytelling with brand, whether that's telling a brand story or engaging a brand in a beloved IP as a way to tell your story, this is the exactly right time. And I'm not biased at all.
Absolutely not.
This is scientific, fact-based.
And from the IP owner's perspective, do you have anything to add to that in terms of working with brands and kind of any watch-outs from your side?
I mean, I would say it's great if we can work closely together with any partner, and we typically, our teams are very involved. They hop into all of the calls straight from the start. I know, like, how we have worked with the film even. We've started a little while ago, and we keep on, looking at the whole brand perspective. So we try to help the partner to get to the right spots and the right medias within our universe and the right level of storytelling, and then to create backstories as well to help to avoid the kind of feeling of being just slapped on the IP. So I think that typically works. Our fandom is they are passionate. We have a really great fan group who will point out every lore difference that they can spot. So we have to be consistent, and we try to help our partners to do that consistent, fun, authentic partnership.
Yeah. Fantastic. And I would say, it's probably not across the board that every filmmaker and producer is incredibly collaborative and open, working with brands all the time, but certainly your team, John and the other producers, have been really creative about how brands can be integrated and really open to doing that, which is great.
It's a critical part of marketing a movie now.
Yeah.
You have to have activations everywhere. Across the board, and we, like Hanna was saying, we have all kinds of unique partners you'd never think of are perfect for what we do, and we're on board, and we will make things. We'll do animation. We'll do earlier is better. Yeah, we'll support everything.
And I would say, it's as a bit of a creative challenge, this team are all the experts in doing this. They are very open to exploring any brand and any opportunity. They would love the challenge. So they're here all of this afternoon. They're here for drinks. They're going to be here tomorrow morning. If anybody wants to give us a challenge and give us a brand to work on, we would absolutely love to have that conversation with you. So please come and grab me, Geneva, Dan, Hanna, any of the Rovio team who are all around the beach house today and tomorrow, and let's see if we can make the magic happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy.